Salutations and shit, folks. Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast where I, your host, D. Carey, have an experiential conversation about the nuanced ways that travel intersects with regular life. And as I like to remind you guys, especially when I have a beautiful face joining me, the podcast is available on the YouTubes. So you can listen in whatever platform you are currently in, or you can join us on the interwebs, whatever your choice is. And to the beautiful face sitting with me, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. My name is Amina. I go by Myna. I'm a traveler, explorer. I run a social media account named Miss Young International, which is where I highlight destinations that we don't really see Black folks go to. And yeah, for the past 4 years, that has been my focus. And now I'm here sitting with you having a little conversation.
So thank you. Thank you very much, Mina, for joining me. Let's start with what your entrance into travel was like. Did you grow up traveling? Is it something that you started doing? Because I'm assuming, looking from at your content, that you do a lot of solo travel. So is it that you started as a solo traveler? Did you start as a girls trip traveler? Like, what was your foray into the international world?
Yeah, so I didn't start off as a solo traveler. I was a girl trip traveler for a little bit with my best friends. We used to go to different places. And, life happens. She got kids now. She's
Hmm.
married. And it's like, I love you, but I can't wait for you. So I'll go.
Yes, familiar.
Yeah.
So did you grow up traveling, or was it that you traveled with your girls when you like became of age, if you will?
Yeah, so I would say I grew up traveling. I was born in Europe. I was born in France, so I have a French nationality. In Europe, it's very easy to go certain places. It's easy to go to London, take a 2 hour train. So I've been to those close places that were close to France. When I was really young, and then when you get older, you want to leave your parents. Like I'm grown now. I want to, we got things to do. So then after that, I started traveling even more with my friends. Yeah.
So where are you based? Are you based in the US or are you still based in France?
I'm based in New York. I've
Oh,
been in
cool,
New
sweet.
York for like 17 years now. So
Oh
I've been
wow, you've been here long enough.
here
You've
for a
been here
while.
long enough. But so did you spend a substantial amount of your time in Europe, like your youth in Europe, and then came to the States?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Paris, and then I
Okay.
finished high school and I did an exchange student program to learn English when I was 17, and I never went back. So.
How incredible. I wish you would have been girl. I wish that is such an interesting like plot twist. So we're flying into Paris on Friday.
Oh
And
my.
so we're going to get in, and we're only going to be there for like a few hours. And then we're going to hop the train to Zurich, and we'll be there for a few days, and we'll be in Brussels for a few days. We're going to do an overnight in Frankfurt and probably do, a day trip like at the bookends of the week, trying not to do too much. But looking forward to that trip.
Yeah,
And so I'll probably drop a question or two
hit me up.
at
Yeah.
you after this. But so going back, I think that is probably another like loop back that I may come to in the conversation,
Mhm.
because I know what we're going to talk about already. This is about your international travels, but I feel as if beings from like two different continents, like I feel like Americans, we have like a way of thinking, or um I don't know, that's something maybe you might be better able to speak on. Like, is there a difference to you, if you see one, between like Europeans and their experience of traveling and Americans and experiencing of travel? Like, what do you see, if any, similarities or differences?
To be honest, what I would say is I think that Europeans are maybe a little bit more experimental when it comes
Okay.
to destinations. Like I will go to the most random places and there will be no Americans, but then you'll see someone from Spain, like or somebody from Germany, out of nowhere. But American, not very much so. But Europeans, I would say, are more they will tend to go further than Americans would do, if that makes sense.
I see what you're saying in terms of being able to do like different countries.
Yeah, in terms of like different destinations, like
Okay.
uncommon or yeah, uncommon destinations, I would say.
Okay. Now, when you do like European travel, do you fly often or do you do a lot of the train transport? Because I know that's another argument. Like a lot of people have highlighted is that like in the US and like from your experience now being here for so long, it's like this place is huge.
Huge.
The same amount of time that it'll take you to get to 2 or 3 different countries, I'm still in the same state.
Right.
So, it like, for us here, like, there's so much, diversity even within smaller pockets and larger pockets, but still just in terms of where the access and the still being in the same country is like you can be in different pockets, but you're still in the same bag. You know what I mean? It's the
Yes.
same pair of pants, you just in a different pocket.
Yeah.
Whereas like in Europe, you guys can go and experience like a completely different country. Um a lot more easily. When you traveled there, were you more a train traveler or like a plane traveler throughout Europe? And also
Um.
you have a French passport, right?
Yes.
I feel like that's another point to I want to pick your
Yeah.
brain about also in terms of do you feel like you even in terms of maybe people you may have traveled with, I don't know. Have you seen a difference in how different passports are treated in your experiences internationally?
100%. So I have a French passport, I have a Malian passport, and a Congolese passport. And every time I pull out my French passport, it's like, oh my God, they start speaking French to me. Every time
Mhm.
it's all the passports. They're not as warm or welcoming, I would say, definitely. But I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, you know. But going around, honestly, in Europe, I would say mostly by car. Like you can get to Belgium in 3 hours from France. You know, Amsterdam like 4 hours. London 2 hours by train. And also we've been lucky with like really cheap. I mean cheap, affordable
Mhm.
airlines like Ryanair. You can get to
Yeah.
Spain $40. You know, so and here is not like that. So I think that also comes into play. You know, it's not really like, oh, you guys don't want to travel. It's like we have more, you know, resources when it comes to that than Americans do. So it's
Yeah.
understandable. Yeah.
So, what in terms of traveling with your passport and all the places that you have gone, have you felt any perks to it? Like what is your experience like with the French passport? I've got no point of reference to tell people what that's like. I've only traveled as an American obviously, but traveling as a French citizen or even on any of your other passports, that's also another flex. Like 3 passports, girl? Like, okay. Like, in terms of using different books, like, have you, do you use one more often than others? Do you choose your passport based on your destination? Like, how does that look for you?
Definitely. I think that one is kind of bittersweet to speak about, but especially traveling to the motherland, you
Mhm.
know, when you have two passports, then locals are like the airport, the staff, they tend to see, oh, maybe, you know, she's this person, she has money to give me, you know, she has this and that. We're going to make sure we're very, very nice to her, you know, when you
Mhm.
are either American or UK or my French passport, for example. You definitely see a difference in treatment. Um,
Mhm.
whether it was somebody who's behind me, who's, you know, just a local traveling, you know, they're not gonna be as like careful and things like that. So I would say that's a perk. I don't think it's a fair perk, I would say. I don't think that's cool, but that's what's been happening. So that's reality.
Okay. So, I want to start with pointing out I saw a hashtag that you had used on one of your posts, and it was "Don't be scared, be careful." And I very much so a lifestyle. A lifestyle. I really appreciate that. So, starting there, where are some of the first destinations you feel like you had to flex that? Where may have been your first parlay into something that brought you a little pause that you weren't really sure about, but you kind of brought the air and said, "I'm gonna do it." What destination do you think that would be for you?
That destination for me would be my first solo destination, Uzbekistan.
Mm.
That was my first time traveling solo. I had been looking at a destination for a while. I'm like, oh, this, I mean, I do a lot of research. So I research, oh, like what can I do when I get there, type of thing. Like I would like to have a plan of what I'm going to see or like what I'm going to experience, and at
Mm-hmm.
least an idea. And people are often scared of like the stands, like, oh, you're going to that side of the world. Like they think Afghanistan, they think Pakistan, and it's like
Yeah.
there are wars going on there. There's a lot of things going on there. But there are people who live there who are just like us. There are families that the children go to school, they cook. There's a Sunday market. So I think that was the first. I wasn't necessarily scared, but I was excited, but I was kind of like unsure how I would be welcomed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think I was not gonna be welcomed, because I think when you bring good energy and you go
Mm-hmm.
with an open mind, there's no way you're not gonna be well received. That's just my
Okay.
mind. You know what I mean? Um, that was the first solo trip, and it was amazing. It was
Why
very
there?
really in Uzbekistan, like wow, like I'm really just vibes. I just came here as a first solo trip, like it was
Why there? What made you choose Uzbekistan of all places to go to your first solo destination?
to be very honest with you. I wanted to make a statement. I wanted to be like, I'm going to Uzbekistan, and they'll be like, where? Like, why? And I'm like, why not?
Okay.
Why wouldn't I go, go there? I mean, I wanted to go as well because I've seen it in like documentaries and like,
Mm-hmm.
TV and things like that. Um, and so when you look it up, there's beautiful buildings, there's beautiful things to see. And, I don't think obviously it doesn't come to mind to like a traveler, like, it's not your first destination to go on vacation,
Yeah.
obviously. But with a little bit of research, you can see online, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah. So what was something that you think you appreciated the most about that experience? What did you leave there um being able to hold on to in terms of like sentiment?
Wow. Um, to not judge. People were so kind, and this is to me, okay, the whole people are so nice. It's like such a like here he goes, people are so nice. Okay, they're nice. Like everybody's.
Mhm.
But I think the hospitality was unmatched. It's just like people felt so grateful and so honored to have someone from overseas like just come to like their little old country, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
They love their country, but to see someone so far away to come and appreciate and have a good time, they wanted to go above and beyond to make sure that I had a great time. And we live in New York. It's very rare. It's 9 times out of 10, you go to Times Square, you ask somebody for help, they're not gonna walk you to your destination. They're gonna tell
Mm.
you, do you have a phone? Okay, if you go on Google Maps, you can
Yeah.
possibly go the place, and so it was really nice to experience something else. And it makes you, and to me, like what I got from that is like to be more kind. If I see someone
Yeah.
who's struggling from another country who can't speak the language, I wanna pay that forward.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you feel like you have had the I don't like saying negative experiences,
Hmm.
but where did you feel like your guard was up the most, or where do you feel like you may have had to advocate for yourself the most? Because I feel like a lot of those destinations tend to be just as important for our growth pattern, if you will, because a lot of those experiences wouldn't necessarily come in situations that you are completely comfortable in or familiar with because you're not used to flexing certain muscles. Like when you're comfortable, you don't necessarily have to step outside of what you may find as normal or what you may be used to. So, do you feel as if you have a destination where you may have had to step out of, say, your comfort zone or your space of familiarity to advocate for yourself or maybe stretch and grow in directions as the such?
Um, I would say Georgia, and that was that's in Europe. Um, I haven't traveled a lot in Europe, to be honest, as an adult. Like when I was younger,
Hmm.
of course, the UK, Belgium, and all the destinations. As an adult, I've only done Georgia so far because I don't think it's very much visited by us.
Hmm.
Um, And I want to be clear. I want to say I've never had like a really bad experience. Like I haven't. I really haven't. Nobody has ever touched me, touched my hair, trying to, you know,
Yeah.
like that. Georgia, I just remember a moment. I took the bus overnight. I took a car. It's just a long story, but I pretty much got to Georgia, like a bus station in Georgia, and it was all of these drivers that was just waiting for tourists to get off from where they were coming from, and I just felt they were like saying chocolate, chocolate, like, and I was just like,
Mhm.
I don't really like that personally.
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't call that racism, but I would just say it's kind of like ignorant. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was and that's not even a huge situation, but it's like anywhere else that I've been, and I've been to multiple places. Um, that was just like, nah. Like, I don't think I would want to go back.
Okay.
But like, it was the less warm country that I've been to so far.
Mhm.
Even though I met a great person there, a lady who helped me throughout my entire trip. um like help me out throughout the entire trip. That's If it wasn't for her, I don't think I would like advocate for Georgia. Yeah.
Okay. The vibes there were not as
It wasn't as warm.
well, okay.
Yeah.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Speaking of warm, you mentioned the motherland. What has your travel experience there been like? Where have you visited? What were the and I know you have a passport um
Yeah.
too. From where did you say? I know you said was it
Yep.
Congolese?
Yep. Congo
And
and Mali.
okay.
Mali.
So when you travel in Africa, do you use one of those passports or do you feel like it's easier to use your French passport?
Usually to enter, I use the African passport, and then to leave, I have to use the other one to come back. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Never would have thunk you could even do that.
Yeah. You can totally do it. For example, I was in Nigeria for the third time last month, and with a Malian passport, you don't need a visa. So I use my
Mm,
Malian passport, and then once you use that, they don't look. It's like they treat you like a local. It's like you're right next door from us. So you
okay.
know, when you use a French or American, it's like, oh, like ugh, there's like a whole
Hmm.
rah, but um yeah, so I use this passport. And navigating Africa is, I wish it was easier. I hope
Hmm.
it gets easier. I wish it was more accessible for all of us. Sometimes the visa process can kind of like turn off a lot of people
Yeah.
to the point that they don't even want to go. It took me 3 months to get a visa. Do I want, it has to
Yeah.
be easier for us to want to go. I hope that countries get it together and are able to work together to make it easier for travelers to actually go and explore. You
Yeah.
know,
I
so
feel like that window on excurting or exerting so much effort for a thing is very small. I find that I would have been more interested in doing all of that like in my early 30s. But now, to your point, if I got to do too many pieces of, if I fill out too much,
you
it's
go.
gonna like you have to have that effort, that want to be able to do that. And I could see that being, yeah, a
For
very big
sure.
hindrance for a lot of people.
Yep. Yep.
So what was your experience like in like where I know you mentioned Nigeria, like where else
Mhm.
have you been? Have you been to Mali and to the Congo?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been, yes. So overall on the motherland, I've been to Tunisia. I was really young. I was like 15. I
Mhm.
want to go back at some point, but as an adult, I've been to Nigeria 3 times. I've been to Mali, Congo, and Cote d'Ivoire,
Mhm.
Senegal for a very short period of time. And that's pretty much it so far. But I'm doing more African travels this year. So
Where do you find it's easiest to access from the States?
Senegal.
Okay.
Straight flight from JFK. If you're in New York,
Mhm.
straight flight from JFK. It's right on the coast. It's beautiful. There's the beach. You can take surfing lessons. The food is
Mhm.
amazing. Um, I think it's a good introduction to anyone who hasn't been to the continent yet.
Okay.
They do speak French there, but a little bit of English will get you, what you need. Um,
Mhm.
but I think it's a really great introduction to the continent for anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it would be easy to say it's obvious that it might take a confident person to be able to, explore beyond what they are used to. But for someone who may be on the fence in terms of confident, where they're confident with some things and not other things, or they find that you know, they either completely lack confidence or they already feel as if, oh yeah, I'm confident enough to do those things. What would your tips or pointers on confidence be? Like, I know you had mentioned that there are practical steps to
Mhm.
building confidence, but then there are also maybe some steps that aren't necessarily practical but impactful in terms of different points of introspection, because that's one of the things that I can say I have been able to build on more, is just like more reflection in terms of having been places and spending time alone. I feel like you think, like, I don't know about you, but I stay in my head. And so like when I'm someplace that I haven't been, that is a very familiar way for me to figure out, like, what have I learned, what have I gotten from it. And I feel like a lot of those steps may not be as practical. So would you have suggestions for both practical steps for building confidence and maybe some steps that may not be as practical but useful?
Practical steps, I would say, honestly, research. And to be honest, not even that, but having a plan. Like, I think
Hmm.
not a lot of times, I mean, if it's a vacation, you don't want to have to make it feel like it's work. It's like
Hmm.
it goes like, for example, you go to St. Lucia, there's the beach there. You're gonna get the beach. You go there to relax. You don't necessarily want to get out the resort and see other things. Um, but for those other places, I think once you know what you want to see, then you feel more comfortable. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go see all these places. I know this. I did my research, and I know this place has Uber.
Okay.
So the hotel, you put the Uber, you go see that monument, you go take your photos, and you get right back to your hotel if that's what you want to do for the rest of the day. I think research is very important and having a plan. I think it's when you go somewhere and you don't really know what you want to do, then it's like I'm just gonna stay in the room and like I'm afraid, like I don't want to walk around. But if you go see a monument or go to a museum, then let me just walk around to this place.
Hmm.
This restaurant looks like it has something good to eat. Like let me just walk over and then walk over here and then walk over here, and now you have a whole day. You've seen the entire city. So those are practical steps, is research and also plan what you want to see, and just I'm not saying like 8 a.m. go there, but I'm saying like
Yeah.
at least
Have an idea, have
have your main
something, like,
route.
even if you switch the days that you do it, or even if you, leave something off of your list. Like, there are plenty of times where I've gone in with, I'm gonna do this, and this, and done like the second thing, and that's it. And that'll be fine. But it's like you show up and you've got options as opposed to getting there and then, now what? And you spend your time there looking up shit to do.
Absolutely. Like I think that would really help. And then on practical, it's so easy to say be open minded and pray but and the internet has made it so hard. But on practical steps, you can't be scared. And it's so easy to say. I hope it's not like useless
No,
information.
it
Okay.
sometimes people need to be reminded. A lot of times you think everybody is in the same spot and they're not. So go ahead and say it.
And it's also like there's things that you do every day, like deeper that you do that people can't do, and vice
Mhm.
versa. We're all fearless in our own ways. Try to apply that to your travel. It's like, okay, I don't know. Maybe you may have moved and a couple years ago, moved from New York to Tennessee. You were terrified. You didn't have any friends, but look at you now. You have a whole circle. You have your places to eat. You know how to maneuver. I think it's just taking that first step and
Mhm.
not listening. When you start listening to people, if I had listened to people, I would have went nowhere, to be honest. And it's hard to shut out everything else because now with social
Mhm.
media, you see those reels, you see these people tell their stories a certain way, and it's like, you guys are fucking it up for us, okay?
Yeah.
Like, don't. I think it's not just, but it's look how hard fearless you are, when you're in your like in your comfortable zone, and try to
Yeah.
apply it to your travels. That's what I would say as like an unpractical step. Yeah.
I like that one. You had kind of mentioned or alluded to storytelling. And I personally feel as if storytelling is a very personal experience, and that is the beauty in it, is that it makes it so diverse because everybody is different in their own ways, regardless of whether or not we are living similar stories or even reading the same story. Like, we're never going to ingest it the same because we're all different, and that is just one of those universally, curiously, just chef's kiss, just like the perfection of how everything is going to be different, right? But something that I remember from your email was saying that it is important for us as Black people to be, the tellers of our own stories, and that our stories are very important. And I know that we don't necessarily see ourselves in a lot of stories that are told, whether that be through the platforms or the creators that are highlighted in a lot of large marketing
Mhm.
materials, if you will, even in terms of just Googling different places to visit in terms of their tourism boards, or just the photos on hotels, or anything
Mm,
that you come across in Googling traveling. We're not there,
mm,
right? And then sometimes even when you do see us, it looks forced. It looks like, oh, so you just hired somebody. This isn't exactly a representation from an authentic visitor. So I agree that I think that us telling our own stories is very, very important. And so I would ask, in your story, what were some of the places that you feel I didn't necessarily see this coming in my own story, but I'm happy that it's here now. I'm going to absolutely have the link to your Instagram in the description below, but you've got incredible, beautiful photos all over the place. But where do you feel like has maybe stood out to you in your own telling of your story?
I would say if I have to pick one, it's so hard.
Oh, you don't have to pick one. You can pick
Okay.
more than one.
I would say, well, Mongolia is where I spent a lot of my time in the past well, I spent a month in Mongolia in September,
Nice. Okay.
and it was unplanned. Not me saying you have to plan it, and I do unplanned stuff. Don't do what I do. No, I'm joking. But, it was so unexpected. I was there for 30 days, and I didn't think I was like, I really went there and I kind of winged it because I'm not a fan of tour guides. I like to
Okay.
get there and kind of do my own thing, but I do
Hmm.
research on my own. Like, I like to plan my own trips, and
Okay.
so I don't say tour guides are bad, but this is just my personal. I'm my own tour guide. Um, and sometimes it can be so pricey. That I think that also
Yeah.
discourages people. It's like the visa, and then you get there and you don't know what to do, so you feel more comfortable hiring a tour guide. The tour guide for 10 days is 5K or 10K.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely
Okay,
not. No 5 day. I'm
I'm
talking about
like,
a
yeah,
2 hour trip. Yeah. That's wild.
exactly,
But
exactly.
also, in fairness, you're going to a lot of places where there aren't, um, I don't know how to put it, no, because I'm unfamiliar. But like in terms of highly visited places, there are certain places that are popular for tourists.
Yeah,
There are a million different ways to see the Louvre. There are a million different, go to what do you call Venice, and the gondola rides, and those are places that people always go. But
for
you're
sure,
talking about Mongolia, you're talking about Yemen. I know you've got content from Jordan. Like, there are so many places that may not necessarily have the same tourism infrastructure developed. So besides not seeing ourselves there, to your point, it's like, well, the tour guide options here may be a lot more limited. So like, what
for
does
sure.
that like, and also, what does your planning look like? Are you a graphs girl? Are you charts? Do you do like spreadsheets, or do you just have a ton of tabs open and handwrite stuff down? Like, what does Mina's process look like?
I'm a notes Google spreadsheet girl all day.
Okay.
Um, I'm very intentional about where I go and how and what I want to show. Like, for example, when I pick a country, I'm like, okay, I want to show hotels where people can, like, if they want to go there, this is where you can stay. I stayed there. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. I took, so I'm making sure there's at least like 2 or 3 hotels that people can pick from. That's the first step, because you want to stay in a nice hotel when you travel somewhere. That's the first step. You want to feel safe where
Mm-hmm.
you're staying, and you want it to be,
Yes.
nice. Whatever kind of traveler you are. Because when you land, that's where you're going first. And then for me, I like a diverse place. Like I like a place that has a beach, maybe like a mountainside, a lake, and also like a cultural side, like a tribe, a subculture. So I
Mm-hmm.
make sure that where I go has all of these things, to make your 10 or 2 week trip like worth it. Like you will have stuff to do the entire time. And if you want to chill,
Okay.
you can chill like 3 or 4 days. So I pick the locations, like it has to have at least like 4 or 5 things to do.
Okay.
Um, like I like 4 or 5 star hotels, because
Mm-hmm.
those places luxury is very affordable, because
Okay.
there's not a lot of us who go there, so the prices are different. It's not gonna be as high as the other popular ones.
Right. That's a good point.
So I always pick like affordable, many things to do, and accommodation also. So I make sure that I hit all those stuff, and then I'm like, okay, now I can go. I know I have content. I'm comfortable vouching for this destination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What have been some of your favorite accommodations?
Favorite accommodation. My favorite hotel is a hotel in Myanmar.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Art of Sen Hotel. And Myanmar right now is, I mean, it's been going through a lot for the past few
Yeah.
years, which is very unfortunate. Um, the most beautiful place I've ever seen, honestly.
Wow.
I did not want to leave that place, and it's so sad because I want all of us to go. Right now, it's not a good time. But this is a place that I can't compare it to anywhere else in the world.
What was it like there? What stands out about there?
The food, like
Mm.
they have like a tea leaf salad. Like you can eat tea. Like how we drink tea. They have a tea leaf salad. Their diet is just so different, very healthy. The people, the alphabet. Um, I went to this city, Bagan. It's like a ancient city, and people get around in like carriages. Not tourists. It's like people actually get around in carriages with horses till this day, and it's just you felt
Okay.
like it's like it throws you back in time. And hospitality, like locals go above and beyond. Like they will make your problem their problem.
Hmm. How long were you there?
I was there for 2 weeks. I did
Oh,
four
beautiful.
cities. Yeah, 2 weeks, 4 cities. Yeah.
And what did travel there look like? Well, what did planning a trip there look like? Like, how do you like a lot of the places that you visited seem like they would take so much extra work, so many extra steps, like uh, between visas and making sure that also what types of immunizations are necessary to go there. What does preparing for trips like that entail? Because I know that's one thing about international trips that this will be the first time I'm leaving the country since before not the country, but um, going someplace that's not like Puerto Rico, Mexico, Canada, basically. I'm in New York also. So this is the first time like I'm going back to Europe since before the pandemic or like anywhere not centrally located for me. Say all that to say, I don't even know what the first step to trying to visit Myanmar would be. Like, what does the process for you entail? What types of steps are you certain to make sure that you look into when you're booking these types of destinations that, like I said prior, like don't have the same robust what was the word I was saying? Not international, but when we're people that travel, tourism experiences and tourism boards available.
Yeah. The first thing I do, and I think everybody should do the same thing. If you go on Wikipedia, for me, because I'm French, so Americans, you type American visa requirements for
Hmm.
American citizens. On
Hmm.
that page, there's each country in the world, and it tells you if you need a visa or not. What do you need?
Hmm.
This is always my first stop. I go on there. Okay, Myanmar. e-visa, whatever it is, visa not required, visa on arrival. So now I know, okay, I need to take care of that first. After that, I go to this website. You can go to any website, but the one that I go to is Climates to Travel. So you can see they give you all the cities per country and like the history of like weather, like for the past like 10, 20 years. So you can
Oh,
see
what's that website? That sounds dope.
climates, like climates to travel.
CLIMATES
Yep, to
to
travel.
sweet.
And you
I'll
can
check them
see
out.
that don't go during the rainy season now. You can see each like
Mhm.
city,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the temperatures have been like and things like that per country and per city, literally. So when you get there, there's no surprise. Yeah. So
Mhm.
the requirements, I want to see which month I want to go based on the weather.
Mhm.
And then after that, honestly, I'm a booking girl. I go on booking. I put my little filter, 4 5 star, free
Mhm.
breakfast included,
Mhm.
low lowest to highest for hotel.
Yeah.
And then I see what I like, and then I go on their Instagram. And
Mhm.
for Myanmar, because I knew the situation was a little tricky, I actually hashtag different places in Myanmar, and I literally messaged tourists who had been there the last
Okay.
2 weeks to see, hey, I see you were in Myanmar, 2 weeks ago. How was it? Is it safe?
Smart.
Can I go? Don't be afraid to do that. Like we use Instagram for everything else. Don't be afraid to reach out to strangers and say, hey, how is it?
Right.
You're still there right now? How is it?
Mhm.
So that's the steps that I took. As far as like vaccines and things like that, I haven't I don't really look into that. Like I know in France, like very, very young, they've done everything to us. I don't need to get anything else. Um,
Mhm.
but I know some places require. I had a friend who was supposed to come with me to Nigeria, and I think they asked for the yellow fever.
Yeah.
But then when you really ask, they don't. People think that
Mm.
like I thought so too, and then we took the extra step to actually ask, like an airport official, and they don't ask. They don't. You don't
Hmm.
need a fever shot to go to Nigeria. So don't let that be the reason why you don't go.
Unless you get stuck with yellow fever. So
Right.
asterisk star footnote. Don't
Yes.
come for her. Like you figure that out on your own. But
Yeah.
she's saying they don't ask.
Right. But that's pretty much it. And then yeah, take those steps. Visa. See if they have like good accommodation. See which time of the year you want to go.
Mhm.
I see people like going to the Maldives when it's raining. I'm like, you should have looked at why you the last thing that you want is you don't want to get there and be surprised and
Yeah.
that you're in the middle of you know the rainy season. You had no
Have
idea.
you ever been someplace where it's like there has been like maybe like some political unrest, a lot of like police activity because you're going to places that
Hmm.
are pretty far off of the tourist radar. So it's business as usual in a lot of those destinations. Have you ever been any place where that has come up?
Myanmar.
Mm,
They don't bother tourists, but the military is so that they run the country. They've been
mm,
ruling the country for years now, and every street they're there. Like the military is there. They're there. They're oppressing people. There's checkpoints everywhere. I took the bus there, and so every couple minutes there's a checkpoint. You have to give the military something, fruits, money, or they don't let you go. Like this is mandatory. Like the drivers actually planned when they pack up things up. They bring stuff on purpose because they know they have to give the military something every checkpoint. That was like I read about it online, but actually be there.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. That's the thing that I read online that's actually true. Yeah.
So what is that like to be a tourist in the middle of that? Like knowing you're safe, air quotes there, but that like the people that are around you or even like your tour guide or a local that you may befriend that may be traveling with you. Like what is that experience like?
Um It's unfortunate. It's like it's fortunate for tourists because you know they're not gonna touch you, but then you know the people around you are being oppressed.
Hmm.
And in a way, for that situation for Myanmar, I was chatting with a lady whose family owns a hotel, and actually somebody I reached out to when I was doing research, and she was saying, please promote for us. The more tourists, the less they're going to do what they're doing now.
Mm.
You know, because when there's so many tourists, you can't really bomb anywhere. Because
Yeah.
now it becomes like a worldwide, issue. Like you're
Right.
tourists
Right. Right.
in countries. It becomes political. So it felt at first it felt like, dang, like I'm here and these people are, they wish they can escape where they are right now, and I'm just here on vacation. And then it became like, okay, I'm here and I'm gonna promote the heck out of it, hoping that more of us come here, and hopefully
Hmm.
this can not. We're not magicians, but hopefully this can be a little less, hurtful to the community, and just, it can possibly stop at some point.
Okay.
So it was
W-
bittersweet. Yeah.
Yeah. Where is some place that you could see yourself living? Because I know there are places that I love visiting, but I would never live in. Have you ever considered or gave thought to, okay, like if I had to come back, like there's a difference. Would you decide to plant roots anyplace else?
Yeah, I could see myself live either in Brazil or Nigeria.
Okay.
One
Why
of those
there?
countries.
Why
Um,
those places?
Brazil is my favorite country. It was my first girl trip ever, my first trip as an adult ever. So it's always gonna have my heart. Brazil, because anybody looks and can be Brazilian. It's
Okay.
such a unique place. People are free. You can wear whatever you want. You go to the beach. You can do whatever you want. It's very affordable. I love the music. It's very unique.
What area were you in?
I was in Rio, so I did Rio, Sao Paulo, and Parachi, which
Okay.
is like more like a slave trade
Hmm.
area. But I would live in Rio. There's the beach. There's the city. It's huge. There's so much to see there. I haven't even explored like half of it. It's very diverse. Um, and yeah, I feel very much at home when I go to Brazil. I've been there like 3 times, 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
Okay. And why Nigeria?
Nigeria, I'm African, so I love my Afro beats. The people, I love the locals. They're a different breed. Yeah, it's so chaotic. I guess I love chaos, but you get used to it. Like they're very unapologetic. Just like I feel like I relate. Their culture is very similar to my personality, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, in terms of, I feel like I say in terms of quite often, like I gotta figure out something to loop with, but I don't. And then also like I also try to be very intentional
Mhm,
about like the way I say certain things,
mhm.
but because and I also want to make it so that what's in my head comes out clear, like that it's like I'm asking the question that I want to ask.
Yeah.
But all right, so when you do destinations and you're doing them solo, you can't speak for everybody, right? Like you're not the single and sole representation of blackness wherever you go.
Right.
But wherever you go, you are black. What has your experience as a black woman been like in these different places? And then I go back again to I'm American, so I can only speak from a Black American woman's perspective. You've been here for a long time, but
Hmm.
you are a French woman. Like,
Yeah.
what is your experience? And so I know that when we speak about our Black, and that's another beautiful thing about the diaspora is that there's, again, like individuality and the nuance and the differences and the similarities are just like such a beautiful celebration. And that's another thing that I love about, yeah, I love discussing here on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like travel is so much more than vacation. It becomes like a kaleidoscope of different lenses to kind of see and experience like yourself and your personhood between the similarities and differences of other people. But say all that to say, your experience as a black woman in a lot of these places, is going to be your own. But if you could share with us like what that may have been like in different pockets of the world, especially in places where not only do they not see other Black women, but they just don't see travelers in general. They're not used to outsiders. And then, in fairness, when we go to, well, at least looking through your Instagram and a lot of the places that you've been to, they Black like this. You know what I mean? Like a lot of them are people of color also, but
Yes.
to for them seeing other people of color who aren't like them, what was your experience of that like? Was um Blackness something they had a lot of questions about in different places? Were there any, I don't want to say mischaracteristics or misgivings, but did you end up having to navigate certain situations differently based on how people may have interacted or dealt with you while you were there? What did it look like? And then, of course, like tell us what place you're talking about because you've been so many places.
I got you. Um, okay. So I know you mentioned, I wasn't born and raised in America, and as long as I, I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life, but I'm still never gonna be American, right? When
Hmm.
you go to those places, like for example, like Uzbekistan, they don't really care like which country.
Hmm.
You're just a Black woman, and there's not a lot of
Okay.
Black women who are there. So people stare. And I see a lot of people online making reels, like traveling to this place as a Black woman. And people don't mean no harm. Also, it's like if I'm in Congo and I see a white woman, I'm going to look longer than I would look at somebody else because I'm just like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And it's the same for those people. They haven't seen somebody who looked like you in a long time and they're looking. And half of the time, actually, most of the time, if you smile and you wave, they will smile and they will wave, and that's it. You know.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll try to see myself as someone. I'm not American, but I'm a Black woman worldwide.
Hmm.
Anywhere I go, I'm always gonna be a Black woman, and
That's
so
right.
because you don't see a lot of us here, I'm gonna not. I'm gonna be extra kind because I'm always gonna be myself. But I will talk. I will be. I will talk. I will smile because I'm not a representative, but it's almost like okay, like I don't want them to like whatever they think. Maybe it's like a self-conscious thing, but I don't want I want to feel like the next person who comes here. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna be like a protector that
Yeah.
comes here is not judged. If that makes sense.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Because even though we know we're not representations, we know we're representations. It's like we know it, but we know it. It's like, is it
Yeah,
fair? No. But I know that if you don't see us when you do see me now, I'm going to base your future conversations of how you talk about them with other people. And it's just like, oh, yeah, well, the one that I met, it's so now,
right.
and now you become that representation. So I get it. I absolutely get it.
Thank you. Like I feel like you see me. You see what I'm trying to get at. So just
Hmm.
if you go to a job, yeah, you the only Black girl. Like let me not act up because that's
That
literally what
I
it is.
get it. I get it. It's unfair. It fucks.
Yeah,
It really is. But here we are living
yeah.
these unfair parts of life.
Like it's like I'm excited to be here, but also it's like okay, like we know how to dress. We look good.
I could play the game too, bitch. Like, let's just
Yes.
clock in, clock out. We ain't gotta do all the extra. Like,
Okay.
we don't have to be friends, coworker.
No, I'm outside of here. Thank you.
Right. I actually have a life.
We're friends. So it's pretty much that. It's like it's like maybe I'm like, okay, like now they're like, okay, this is how the people are over there, the Black people.
Hmm.
They're nice, they're sociable, they're cool, I guess I mean for me, I'm just like I like to also talk to everyone. I'm very much like a hey type of person too. So I guess that comes in handy. But I've tried to be, thank you, how are you, hello, just so we're covered, if that makes sense. And I
I
know you
get you.
I know you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
um and I haven't been in a bad situation. Like people, like I said, are very honored to see another Black person. Like I see other women, like people touch their hair and things like that. I've never experienced that. I've never
Hmm.
experienced that. I've never had anybody like touch me inappropriately or like point in my face, like stares everywhere, of course. Like
Yeah.
people stare because there's just, and in some places it's normal. People stare. Like it's just, in some places it's not like weird to stare. Also,
Okay.
I think people also forget about that. I'm so
It's okay.
sorry. People forget about that in some places.
Yeah,
Like
cultural norms are different. Like personal
yeah,
space is very different for some people.
very different. So you think like, why are they looking at you? Because like, this is how they look at everyone. And also in some places, it's not because you're black that they're looking at you for. Like it's
Hmm.
not because you're black. There's a video, sir. I'll send it to you. It's a video of this two people, it's two travelers. They're on the beach in Bangladesh, and literally like people are this close to them. They're on the towel just at the beach, just like sunbathing, and the locals are this close to them. It's like 50 people around them that won't leave them alone, and they're not black. Well, I think one had like blonde hair, and they were
Hmm.
like white looking, but they just look so different.
Yeah.
We can't always take it like, oh, they're looking because I'm black. It's not always that.
Hmm.
Is anybody who looks different. Um, but I mean the and storytelling, you have to be careful what you share also.
Yeah.
Like you have to be careful what you share. You have to be careful, your experience is not gonna be my experience. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so you can't say, oh, I had a bad experience, you know, over here. So none of y'all should go there.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I went there and I was received very well. And the opposite may happen.
Hmm.
But it's also like what led to that situation that you did? Did you feel entitled? Did you
Hmm.
feel like because you're from this place that you can talk to the server this kind of way? Or because you're from this country that you don't have to respect their rules? Like share the whole story and share
Yeah.
it fully. You know what I mean? So yes, I can't say, and I don't want to lie. I want to be open about, if I had a bad experience somewhere, I would have said, I don't play that. Like I really don't. I would have said, but I'm just always so excited and so intentional. I'm like, this is gonna be great. Like,
And you plan things out. So it's more likely that you looked into, what are the vibes here? What's the energy like? Is this going to be on par with what I am looking to
yeah,
experience and take it from there? I think that's an important part of making sure that you have good experiences is knowing places to put yourself in. Um, But I always like to wrap things up by asking, how can we support you? What can the people do to keep up with you, to see what it is you're working on, and to support things that you may be working on in the future? So, how do we support you?
sure. Supporting me. I mean, the biggest thing people can do is follow me and share my content. The more people see, us in places that we don't really see all like ourselves often, the more we can spread the word, the more we can travel further, and this can change a whole like everybody's mindset in a way. I think supporting is also, if you know any platforms that I can speak on,
Okay.
anything, any post. This lady sent me a post of this tribe in Mongolia because she knows that I like to do different things and that I never heard about. Like send me things you think I should visit, or things that maybe you're afraid to explore that maybe I can explore first. You know, um, yeah, share things that you want me to do or want me to explore, share platforms that you think I could speak on, and follow, and yeah, and subscribe.
Mina, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode, and I would love to leave you guys with the encouragement of staying curious. All right, guys, bye.